joining us now. He is the head coach of BYU, Kalani Sitake, kind enough to join us. Coach, how are you?
What's going on, Scotty?
It's a crazy day, but I'm sure crazy for you. And Hans, he'll be here a little bit later on, but he's got his own festivities with Rock and his signing day, so he's a little late to the show. So it's just you and me hanging out today.
No, it's a great time for a lot of these young men that are, knowing where they're going to play football, and for me as a head coach, I'm sure all the other head coaches are excited to be in this position and to kind of make it official now. Where for us, we knew these guys. A lot of these guys were committed for a long time, and so it's just nice to officially make them ours.
Any surprises today, or was this pretty much what you had anticipated and everybody kind of stuck with their commitments?
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be maybe in it's a lot different now than it used to be. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of surprises in recruiting signing day anymore. Back in the day, this thing used to come down to the last second.
Yeah.
And, and then you're not sure where they're going to sign, and then you're hoping that they do sign. For a lot of our guys, I think 16 out of the 18 were already committed before the season started. So you kind of knew that was already going to be part of it, and so it takes a little bit of the drama out of it, which I don't mind.
I bet. Is there anything, like in percentage-wise, how much of your class gets signed in December as opposed to the later signing date in February?
Yeah, for us, it's the majority of our signees will be in December, and then we'll have a couple to few that'll be later in February. Some guys just aren't ready to jump on board, so we have a couple guys that we're still working through and still recruiting, and then we'll see what the portal looks like. I don't think the portal is something that we're going to really go diving into. We'll take some guys in it I think will fit our program and we'll add to the depth and then possibly be able to fill in some deficiencies. The thing with us is we're still dealing with a few other young men that are deciding whether or not they're going to go to the NFL early or stay. And so that we might look to the portal for that. But I like the depth on our team right now currently, so I don't think we have to go too crazy in it.
You just looking at the composition of this class, it seems like a lot of D linemen, a lot of O linemen. Was that a point of emphasis going in with this group?
Yeah, and I think especially for high school, we have to develop those guys, and obviously we like the length and the bulk of them, but a lot of them are still have to develop a little bit into what we need them to do here, whether it's on the O line or D line. So. I think that's going to be something that we will lean heavily on, their development. The rest of the guys, I think, fit perfectly with what we're trying to get done. We're also considering the roster reduction that everybody has to get to, the 105. That's going to be kind of the norm now, so we have to change up our signings. We're probably not signing as many as we normally would when we had 123 because there's just not a lot of room for error now in recruiting. So as we start going through this in the future, you'll see, I think 8 of these of the 18 that sign are going to go on missions first, and so we'll be able to see when they come back mid-year or in the summer off their missions and kind of work them into the into coming basically transitioning from the mission to the football field. That's going to be another thing to deal with. But we've done that many times, and we feel really good about this class. I like the talent. I like the potential, and I definitely like the immediate talent that they can compete for starting and playing time right away.
How heart-wrenching is this 105 rule going to be for you as a coach, knowing that there's probably going to have to be some difficult conversations with guys that were walk-ons or probably even guys that were on scholarship? Yeah,
well, that's whenever you have to cut from your family, it's difficult. I mean, we need all 123. We have 123 on our roster. We need every one of them, and that's even on the scout team. And I mean, they're all part of the family, so it's hard all of a sudden now to go to 105, and that number coming from. I mean, we didn't control that. None of the coaches made that decision. So now that we have to go to 105, that's just kind of what the rule is. We have to abide by it, and we have to get that done between now and fall of 2025. Our roster has to be down to 105, and that's just. And you think about every school has to do that. There's going to be a large number of young men that don't have a home to play, And so it's a difficult thing. And you look at the guys that have been the number one, the 106 to 123 for us. Those are guys like Tyler Algier and Tanner Wall and a bunch of guys that came in here as walk-ons and earned starting spots for us. And that's going to be hard to lose that the ability to have those guys transition and develop into bona fide draft picks.
We had Christian Cox on the air the other day that played for you and Gary down at Southern Utah, and I said, does the Mike Wright and Christian Cox, do those stories happen these days? And they may not now, Kalani. I mean, there's so many of these great stories of guys that just bust their tail and get that walk-on spot and then end up being superstars and getting a scholarship out of it. And I just feel like we're doing a lot of these kids a huge disservice here.
We are, and without the ability, they should have done this a long time ago before they started cutting all the JC programs in Arizona, and before we cut the JC programs that were close to us here in Utah. So it's a struggle now, but there's going to be a large number of young men that have nowhere to go, and the rosters are all going to be full. So it's a difficult thing to deal with, and I just hate it because we have to say goodbye to some guys that are here that are such wonderful young men, and they're part of our family. But these are the rules. We just have to abide by them. But it doesn't mean that we have to be happy with it.
Yeah. So when you look at a season like you had this year at 10-2, and I know a lot of the talking heads out there didn't think you guys were going to have the season you did, but you win 9 in a row, you get to 10 wins. Do you see an impact that quickly in terms of recruiting, not even just for this year, but maybe next year as well with commitments? Do you see that change when you start to win at a high level? Does it get you into more living rooms and more conversations with kids?
I think a little bit. I think the recruiting has kind of been fast-forwarded quite a bit. So maybe for next year's class, we were getting some eyes turned our way, But I think even last year when we went through a 5-7 year, just being in the Big 12 will get some eyes turned our way. I think that the sell for us is that, hey, we have a great culture here, that we want these guys to feel like these recruits that are potential athletes who want to be at BYU, that, hey, I want to be on that sideline. I want to be on that team. I want to be part of that culture. And it's like we can sell that. I think that's going to be the key. But now you have the addition of being in the Big 12. We're in a power conference. Now, we have it's a path that we can use the detail for these guys. That's way easier than what we were going through with independence. And so you're going to see a change in recruiting. But for us, it's bring them to the here for the standards that we have, and if they're a good fit, and then let's kind of it will open the doors for us, and the success will get some eyes turning our way, and maybe have some people listen to what we have to offer and look into us a little bit more.
Are there any more Pay brothers coming down the pipeline that can be future Cougars as well?
I wish we had 20 more of them, but we'll take this one for sure. It just makes sense. It seems like there should always be a Kafusi on our roster. There should always be there should always be a Pay. There's going to always be certain names that you probably recognize from before. I love that we can recruit legacy kids that come from players that have played at BYU, and we even have players that played at our rival schools. I mean, that's just kind of you see these names, and it makes me feel old. But man, there's a lot of good football in this state, and a lot of good football with people that come from our alumni. So obviously, we're not just limited to recruiting only former Cougars, but it doesn't hurt when they're 6'7", 295 pounds.
Yeah. Well, as long as you got that 1 or 2 year old running around, you'll still feel pretty young, I'm sure. But Coach, honestly, there's so much going on right now in the world of college football. It's just such a crazy world that you're living in right now, and you're trying to adjust on the fly. But congratulations on an incredible season at 10-2. So many good things going on at BYU. Do you? You don't even have to tell me if you know, but do you have any indication on where you guys might be spending the holidays in terms of a bowl game, or is it still up in the air and we have to wait until Sunday?
I think we have to wait till Sunday. It's still up in the air. We had practice yesterday, and we're just like, I'll just practice against each other. There's nothing to really scout right now. So we're just trying to get ourselves ready for whoever the opponent is. All I know is it's going to be a great opponent. So we're looking forward to playing this game and taking advantage of the extra practices we have to develop a lot of these young men for next year, and then just having a lot of fun with our seniors before this thing ends.
Coach, appreciate it. Thanks so much, and look forward to catching up with you down the line.
Thank you, brother.
You got it. One of the best human beings on the planet. It is Kalani Sitake right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.